Welcome to Ear Biscuits, the podcast where two lifelong friends talk about life for a long time. I'm Rhett.
And I'm Link. This week at the Round Table of Dim Lighting, we are taking you to the summit. We're taking you to the peak. We're giving you a peek behind the scenes at the YouTube Summit. This is an invitation-only event that usually happens annually, depending on what's happening with like global medical pandemic crises. I think it came to a stop, but they gave us an invitation this year.
Are we authorized to talk about this?
And we went. I think
we're never going to be invited again.
I think we're not supposed to talk about it, but the stuff that we're going to talk about.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about anything that we shouldn't talk about. We're just going to kind of relay our.
I'm going to talk about everything that I experienced. And I want you to hear about it, because you know what? These are like the YouTuberist of the YouTube. There's probably some sort of threshold of people they invite, because they only have a certain capacity for people to come to this thing, and it's probably like I don't know. You've gotta really be successful on YouTube. I mean, there's some criteria that they didn't tell us about, but I'm glad we were invited.
Everyone
and there everybody
is succeeding on YouTube.
Everybody that we talked to there, that if I didn't know them or if I didn't know them, it turns out that they're all
successful on YouTube.
Catastrophically popular. Catastrophic.
I think it's different. It was different stages. It depend. That it was interesting, and that's one of the things that the reason I was saying, hey, why don't we talk about this on the podcast, is because I find myself I'm catching up with friends, and it's one of the first things that comes to mind, because it's an interesting thing that we went to.
It's a weird event.
Interesting people, and it's just one of those things that happens just because of the job that we have, an experience that we only can have because of this weird career that we have chosen, and the fact that this career has gone unexpectedly well.
And there's not another event that we can attend as creators that's like this, because, and I mean, this may be the 7th year that they've done it. And again, during the pandemic, for 2 years they didn't do it, but like 7 years ago was the first one, which we were invited to that one. I think we've always been invited, but we've only been able to go to like the very first one. We wanted to go to some other ones.
We're busy man, Link.
And then we finally were able to, with our schedule, say we could do it because it was in Palm Springs. But the way that they do it.
Can you say that?
I just did, man.
I don't know if you can even say that, where it was. I think we're gonna bleep that out.
Palm Springs.
Oh, another bleep.
Palm Springs.
Oh, that one they had to bleep out and put a black spot over your face.
That was 2 long beeps.
Before we talk about that.
But hold on, what I was trying to say was
say
the thing that's weird about it and different about it is they don't let you bring your people. Whenever you become a successful creator, you surround yourself with people. You have agents, you have managers, you have all types of people doing all types of things, representation, talk to the people, talk to my hand, kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. None of that. So it's, as a creator, you're going into this space where the only people who aren't creators are, they're YouTube employees. And it turns out that they're gonna really wanna talk to you about making shorts, which I guess we can talk about that later. But my point is, you can rub shoulders with other creators, get to know them, and there's less pretense, because there's not a lot of people at the party, so to speak, who want something from you. Once you get traction on the internet and you start to go to like business thrown parties.
Mixed company.
You go to mixers. There's some creators there, but then there's everybody else who's trying to get in on that action and have these conversations that they want something from you. They want you to be involved in something. They want to go into business with you.
They have business cards.
We
don't carry business cards.
So YouTube has done a good job of creating a space where you can just talk to other creators and that there's much less pretense. when you talk to other creators, they're asking us questions, we're asking them questions. It's a lot more sincere, and you don't really have to think as much. What do they get out of this conversation? Why am I bored to tears and I can't get out of this conversation after being in it for 40 minutes?
I mean, there are some creators that that I'll see at an event like this, and we've got an ongoing conversation about something that isn't even related to our careers at all, that we kind of pick up and keep talking about. Like I'm not gonna talk. That's just private stuff. But like, it's just cool to have friends in the space to kind of like catch up and
commiserate.
Yeah, well, and just like connect with somebody who there's a select group of people in the world who understand what the job that we're trying to do
firsthand.
Firsthand, and it's cool to get to talk to them, because we're not part of the scene. Like we don't hang out with a bunch of YouTubers.
Nope.
There's a bunch of YouTubers in LA. We don't hang out with them because, just be honest, we don't hang out with many people at all, because we do a lot of work and a lot of familying.
And I love it.
So we're gonna talk a lot about that. But I did want to ask you a question. I wanted to catch up with you because I did see that Dr. Emily Morse, sexpert, who we had on the show. If you do recall, during our episode of Sex Timber, where we talked to her and maybe mentioned some contraptions that go into certain places on your body, I was the first to break the seal on that. Well, she explained that she had some things that she may send us. And I will say that we received those things. And you know what? I feel like I'm not even going to describe what it is, because if you want to go listen to Sex Timber, you can. And I don't necessarily want to make
I don't want to put a disclaimer on this.
I don't want to have to put a
episode.
disclaimer on this, but I just want to ask you, we received some things, and have you fully received the thing that you received yet?
Thank you for asking.
Because I have. That night I tested it out.
I'm different than you. I was like, this needs to be.
It was sitting over there on the counter in my bedroom.
This has to be for a special occasion.
My wife was out of town. I just
serious?
felt like a droid just trying on a new part.
Listen, I've set an appointment to try it out.
Oh, with a doctor.
I need to have proper supervision. I'm serious, dude. Why are you laughing?
You mean that you have set a time with you and your wife to be like, they're going to try this?
Yeah. I haven't told her that yet.
Have you put it on the calendar? Is it on our shared calendar?
It's not on your blank wrist that you keep looking
It's
at.
just an expression, man.
It's not the 50s.
Here's the thing. All expressions started with a reality. So when I look at my watch as a joke, it's not that I think that I have a watch on. It's just I'm doing a time joke. It's a joke.
So funny.
I mean, this is why you need to watch Ear Biscuits as well as listen to it.
Well, it comes out on video later.
Oh,
I just can't wait.
It came right out because I used lube.
So I will. I believe that I will have.
She sent lube as well.
A report.
We don't have to bleep lube, do we?
Just don't keep saying it.
Lube can be like getting an oil change, man. Jiffy Lube, you don't have to bleep that. Not a sponsor.
Yeah, Christy and I are going on a getaway, and I'm bringing it.
Taking it on a getaway. Okay, all right. That's probably a good idea.
I will let you know when I've tried it.
Take some video. FaceTime me.
So yeah, I'll get back to you on that.
Okay, all right.
Emphasis on the back.
I'm glad we could catch up about that. I'm feeling a little sluggish. We just took a little trip across town. I don't know when this is coming out.
We don't do those a lot.
Speaking of YouTubers, got to hang out with our boys Ryan and Shane over at Watcher. Because we're doing, they're on our channel, we're on their channel.
I don't think it comes out until November though. So get ready for that.
Yeah, there's a little preview.
Set yourself an appointment. You know what I'm saying? Some things you got to work up to. You just can't go home that night and just watch us on that channel. You got to build up to it.
Right.
You got to loosen up. You got to be relaxed.
Yeah.
You got to be in the right frame of mind.
It depends on your personality. But I will say that while we were on the other side of town, I remembered that, and Jenna was with us, so it was the three of us. I remembered a place that Josh had recommended. Now, Josh, of course, is
He's a foodie.
one of the culinary experts around here. And
he's a mythical chef, which means a fake chef, I guess.
No, he's very much a real chef.
He's
and
real.
He has never led me wrong
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to a recommendation in this town that, I love this town. One of the many reasons is all the food. And we were
It's crawling with food.
So I just wanted to say I felt like I built that up because Josh built it up for me. You may remember that episode of what's the show that we made, Good Mythical Morning, where we had corn smut, which is essentially a fungus that grows on corn, and it has like a truffle-like flavor, and there's a different name for it. I can't remember the name of it, but corn smut is sort of the rough slang name for it. And this place, the chef at this, what essentially is a taco stand, where all the seating is outside.
It's called Bees, B-E-E-S.
Yeah, just like a flying bee.
Tacos.
Taqueria, is that how you say that word?
Yep.
Am I saying that right? So this place, they do the corn smut, and then what is the word?
Did I eat corn smut?
No, so they don't do, the chef does essentially like a coursed out dinner. I don't know if he still does this, but he does like a coursed out dinner that's a corn smut like tasting, and he incorporates it into all the tacos. But you have to, that's like, he only does like one a day, certain days of the week or something. You have to call way ahead of time. Jesse and I went down there one time because on Josh's recommendation, and we were gonna have the corn smut thing, and he was like, oh, that's one table a night, and you have to call like a month ahead of time. And he goes, now that I'm talking about it, it may be longer than that. But anyway, I wanted to make sure y'all got a taste of these tacos, which I just think that they're like the best tacos in town. I mean,
They were really good tacos.
I feel a little weighed down though, because you stopped short on your third taco, and I wasn't prepared for another taco, but
You
when
ate
you
it.
stopped short, one part of my brain said, just have a bite. And then my body said, eat the whole taco, and I did.
I noticed that you started, I took a couple bites, and then I was like, this is my third taco. Who am I fooling? I'm not going here.
Yeah,
I'm done. I'm listening to my body. And then I said, would you like the rest of my taco?
Oh, you listening to your body tells you to stop eating?
Yeah.
Your body's saying the opposite of what my body's
It's called
saying.
being full. And then,
My body's like, bring it.
so I give it to you, and I noticed that you started eating
The other
off
side.
of the other side.
Because that was my way of saying, I'm not gonna eat all the way through the taco till I get to Link's border.
Right, where my mouth had
I'm
been.
creating a Rhett border on this side of the taco.
So I thought, I just assumed that you were gonna leave a sliver
Stop.
between
I assumed as well.
my last
That's the
bite
thing.
and your last
I
bite.
assumed as well. This is
You
how
know,
my brain works.
I actually made it easier for you to stop because there was a border. And even if it was just a sliver, that would have been a little something. But then I look back, a lightning clap later,
It's all gone.
and it was gone.
And then
I
looked
guess
at-
it's the thunder
then
that
I
claps,
looked at
but you know
Jenna's
what I mean.
plate, and Jenna had essentially done the same thing as you, but she had created a Jenna border on all three tacos and had used discipline to stop on all her tacos. And at this
Oh,
point,
really?
my body said,
Yeah.
finish Jenna's tacos too.
I thought you were I was like,
Did you do that?
No, because my brain at that point kicked in and said, you do not need to do that. You've got a podcast to make. But I'm still
You don't seem weighed down.
I'm a little sluggish.
You s-
I mean, a little sluggish. After I had dealt with Dr. Emily's gift and had an extra half taco.
I got to tell you, I mean, I was, there was a little cup of beans, and I think that hurt me because, I was in pain all the way home. I didn't want to tell you guys, but,
No,
I was in a lot of pain.
That wouldn't be from. I don't think you can. Beans are going to have a gaseous effect within minutes.
Yeah, they do, though. It was 20 minutes.
I don't know. We need to Google that.
I feel better now. I'll put it to you that way. All right, here we go. So let's talk about Palm Springs, the top secret
Well, before we do that,
invitation only
let's talk. We got
YouTube event.
Let's talk quickly about the camping trip that we went on with Stevie. It finally happened. We joked about it forever.
Quite a build-up.
Joke became a reality. We actually did it. We created multiple videos of our camping experience.
We filmed it all.
Ooh, it was quite the camping trip.
We had a good time. I think it's going to translate into your viewing experience. We're going to release it on the Mythical Society because when you pay for the Mythical Society, you get what you pay for or more. So it's a win-win, you know? So we're putting this over there. How are we doing it?
We're available first, second, and third degree.
That's generous of us.
This came out on Friday. You can basically just go over to mythicalsociety.com, become a member if you aren't one, and watch the camping trip videos.
We had a good time. I'm not going to say things got naughty because they didn't.
No, I didn't bring any of my toys.
But everything was good. Had a blast. Join in the fun. mythicalsociety.com.
Okay. How did you? What was your disposition entering into the YouTube Creator Summit? Because going in as what you might call an OG, you know, you're going in as one of the guys that's been doing this a very long time.
Yeah, there weren't that many people who were there at the first one 7 years ago, and I know Hank was there, Hank Green.
Yeah.
There's a few other people. I just can't remember them all. My mindset was, I was looking forward to it. I didn't have to get on a plane. We just drove to Palm Springs, which is not a great drive. I mean, you come out of LA and you think you can go to Palm Springs and it's like an hour and a half, and then you Google it and it says it can take anywhere from 2 to 4.5 hours to get to Palm Springs. Like, there's just something about the way that the traffic flows out of LA at any time. I'm talking about 2 o'clock in the afternoon on
going
a what?
East.
Tuesday?
Going east out of town.
On a Tuesday in the middle of the afternoon.
It's always crazy.
It could take over twice as long. It could take 4.5 hours.
I would say
and that's happened to me before.
Going any direction. Because I've gone south before, like trying to get to San Diego, and then you don't leave before noon on a Friday.
But we didn't have to get on a plane though.
6-hour drive or something crazy like that you could get caught up in.
I was pretty excited, I think I can get in a mode to be social.
Oh, well, that's an understatement.
Well, so it's like I feel like I can turn on being an extrovert. There was a certain point in we got there that afternoon, there was a mixer that night, you stay that night, and it's all the next day, and then another night, and then the next day, it's like a half day worth of programming. So we had 2 nights, 1 full day, and then a half day.
So you can.
So at a certain point, I had to go to my room for like an hour during the day and like take a nap. But other than that, I was in what you might call link mode.
I wouldn't call it an on switch. I would call it the dial broke and the dial came off. You call this an on and off? I consider it an on.
Well, listen.
And then the dial is broken.
Here's what I did. I considered you, which meant that like I was like, you know what? Whenever we enter into like a mixer or something like that, I'm gonna go this way. You can go that way. I just feel like I can give you a little space. Because definitely at one of the people that we met that I like hit it off with, the long snapper. We'll talk more about later. We were hanging out, and then like the next morning we were hanging out again at breakfast. And in the middle of our conversation at breakfast, he said, "Are you always like this?" And I like took it as a compliment. Because he kind of had this smile on his face. He was like, "Are you always like this?" And I'm like,
and what did you say? What do you mean by this?
I said, "What you see is what you get." That's what I said. I didn't want to explain it like, well, you know what? I don't get out much, and I don't make new friends, and this is a fun environment.
Hold on, that's how you would explain it? I don't get out much, and I don't really meet people very often. So.
I can't sustain this level of energy if we had like an ongoing friendship. But like over the course of like a retreat, I'm bringing my I'm bringing my enthusiasm to this space because I legitimately was excited about connecting with people who spoke our language, and they were interested in me, I was interested in them, and
but I do think people
it was fun.
I think people might be surprised, and incidentally, when we got to the first sort of gathering that night, and you went to the bathroom immediately, and I was like,
you always go to the bathroom first.
Well, I didn't
because you can pee and you can look in the mirror.
Okay.
And
I don't
like showing up at a place and walking around and talking to like 5 people and then having to pee and then looking in the mirror and realizing that there's something fundamentally wrong with my face.
Well, that might not be you can't change that though. What do you mean?
No, I mean like it's not, I guess, unfundamentally. Something that is easily preventable, but no one had the heart to tell me. Because I was sparing you. You would have told me, but like, you know.
But when you made that decision, I mean, we didn't talk about it, but I do think that for the most part.
You're saying when I decided to go to the bathroom?
I just went to the party and just started talking to people. Because I do think that, well, because you framed it at the beginning as if you were like, I'm gonna go over here.
We didn't discuss this.
That was my frame of mind as well. Not just because I knew you were gonna be in link mode and there's only so much room for that. Which is true, but it was more like we get a lot more out of this experience when we divide and have multiple conversations with people and get to know each other, get to know more people.
Yeah, and then we come back together and we trade notes. And sometimes you'll have an interaction with somebody a little bit later than me, and then they will realize that they've had the exact same conversation with both of us, only separated by time because we're us. Maybe that's not the case though.
I think that's less and less the case.
Okay, then let's talk about, one of the things we can talk about is what do we talk to people about? And then see if we were giving people the same experience. Like I talked to this one couple who, they were asking me, they knew I had kids, they don't have kids. And they asked me, should we have kids? And I'm like, don't put me in this position. This is like the most fundamental, talk about fundamental question that you can ask a person. I mean, like this is your entire life trajectory. You're putting it in my hands? Like I can't tell you whether you should have children or not.
I have a very interesting POV on this conversation.
And so I'm like, listen. And they were like, well, I mean, just tell us your perspective. I was like, oh, I have the answer. I'm just not gonna tell you. Because I don't want to be the one who told you what you should do and then you do it and then your life is either amazing or screwed up. I mean, it's like, don't put this on me. And I think that's when you walked up and I was like, you know what, you take it from here. Is that what happened?
Yeah, and so
what did you tell them?
They asked, so here, this is exactly what happened. So they said, we're gonna ask you a question that we just asked Link. And then they asked the question, should we have kids? And the first thing I said is, well, what did Link say? And then I think the exact words were, he got very belligerent.
Yeah. I was. Don't put me in that position. Like
that's what I'm talking about.
You're gonna
the dial being broken.
You're gonna shirk your responsibility on me.
Is being interpreted.
If you're
as
asking me if you should have children, then no, you shouldn't. I mean, we barely know each other.
I think the question that they were asking, and this is how I answered the question, was, you have kids. What is your perspective on having kids? And what would you say to someone of our age who is considering it? So I just asked, after I asked them, what did Link say? Just because I wanted to see what they would say and hoping for an answer like the one I got.
They used the word belligerent?
Yeah.
That's a little harsh.
I said, okay, well, I said something like, what do you value? You know, like what is it that you think you're after with considering children? And like, what do you like about your life right now? Because I was like, you ask me this question, I'm a guy who comes from a very particular background where I was on a very particular plan where having children very soon into a very young marriage was part of the formula
It
that
was
I
not
was
a
following.
decision.
It wasn't even a decision.
Right.
And now here's all the benefits I have of being a 44, now 45, probably by the time you hear this, year old man with an adult child and a teenage child, and now I'm still young and I'm getting ready to have some fun, man. You know, the people we were talking to were younger than us, but older than we were when we decided to have kids. So and so then they were like, well, we feel like we've kind of like traveled everywhere that we want to travel. We're actually kind of looking to sort of settle down. I was like, well, I'm not saying you should have kids, but the fact that you're thinking about settling down, sometimes growing a family is part of that process. So that's the way I interacted with the question. It wasn't. I think that we gave him the old 1-2 punch.
1-2 punch, baby. See, I let him know that like this is not something to take lightly.
Yeah. You really set it up for me.
I really set it up.
Yeah.
For you.
I'm glad I walked up.
I was messing with him, but
I know you were.
But I
messing
also
with him.
felt like because I didn't know them. It wasn't like the first time we ever met. What's wrong with this guy who I've never met? Like I've had many endearing interactions with this couple. Yeah, like right before the pandemic, I saw him at a noodle shop. That was the first thing we talked about. And that's why because it was me.
Should we have these noodles?
It was me, Christy, and Lando. So they met Lando, and so they kind of knew.
So they saw what the family looks like.
They saw part of it. I got 2 other whole children that weren't there.
They saw enough.
Saw enough
to draw a conclusion.
So it wasn't like, who's this crazy person? Like, are you always like this? They didn't ask me that.
Yeah, that was the person you had just met. Yeah, so your story's not really adding up here. I mean, listen, I knew these guys, unlike the other people that I went up to that I didn't know. Well, my approach with people was, well, first of all, I gotta say, I'm sure you experienced the same thing. There's always a question when you enter an environment like this. And of course, there's the people that we know and we have been friends with for some time and have been in this business for a long time, and they were pretty well represented there, like the Hank Greens of the world. Not to say that Hank Green is a genre of person, but you know what I'm saying. People who've been on this platform for a long time.
Yeah.
And he is one of a kind.
Every time I see Hank, I'm like, you are such a genre.
But to have the people that I did not recognize come up to me and say, hey, I've been watching you since I was 8. I literally had a person say that. I've been watching you since I was 8 years old. And then I had many others say, I've been watching you since middle school.
Right, and they're like 18, 20, 22, 24.
But it was cool because you know, you never know. Like, this is a big world that you don't have to get a license to upload a YouTube video. You don't have to pass a test. You just start doing it. So
Trust me.
The entry point is, point of entry or whatever, the barrier to entry is non-existent. So, but the people who've gotten to the place where they've quickly grown a platform, it was just cool to be like, hey, they're coming up to me and they're asking me questions. Like, that was something that happened. Lots of people asking questions like, so, like, how you're still making videos? Like, how are you still making videos? How are you still relevant? Like,
that hurts.
I heard you guys have built a big business. Like, how did you do that? So I would enter into that kind of conversation. But most of the time what I was trying to do is just, I don't watch enough. I don't watch very much YouTube.
Yeah.
And I definitely don't, like, most people that I was meeting were new to me. Their content was new to me, completely new to me.
Oh, yeah.
So I would always be like, well, tell me about your channel. What do you do? What's your content?
Yeah, that's not what I do. What I did was, so I was sitting down at another time, and there was this like young guy. I would say, I don't know, 21. Could have been younger. And I had seen his content, and I said, a little bit of it. And I said, you know what? I love your content. You're like doing the lifestyle vlogging thing, like you and your girlfriend. I just wanted to show him like, I know what's up with you. And he was like, me and my girlfriend. I was like, yeah, you and your, well, I was like, she's in a lot of the thumbnails. And he was like,
You got the wrong guy.
that's me. That's a character I play.
Oh.
And I was like, okay, yeah.
I've been watching real close.
Yeah,
man.
yeah. You're doing great. You're doing great there. I mean, you are.
I think
she's great.
I think I'll stick with my method.
Yeah. And then I ended up explaining. I was like, the truth of the matter is I have watched your content, but I'm getting you confused with somebody else because, and I was explaining because he was a Mythical Accelerator candidate.
You know what?
And I'm sitting there like, we're trying to invest in.
You and your girlfriend. We're really excited about you and your girlfriend.
We're trying to invest in creators and like, so there's people who look at creators and say.
Maybe we should have stuck together.
This person is interesting.
Maybe we should have stuck together.
You should check them out. Do you want us to follow up? And I'm like, I just look at the channel, I look at stuff, and I'm like, yeah, follow up.
You should write a book called How to Dig a Hole Immediately and then try to get yourself out of it throughout this conversation.
It's
because
fun,
it's
dude.
Uncanny, man.
It's fun. Like, there's a post-pandemic part of this that's like, I've been cooped up, kind of a thing. That's like, you get back out there.
Are you saying this is a long COVID symptom?
Hit switch, pull curtain,
Are you saying that you just, you're just,
this is a long,
you're just
I mean,
excited.
I'm suffering from my own version of long COVID.
Which is, you gotta start conversations in
I don't get out
ways.
much. But, I'm just, in a sense, it is what you see is what you get. Like, I'm being very sincere. I thought he and his girlfriend made great content.
Yeah,
and
he
just is his girlfriend.
Right, I mean, it's actually a compliment.
Some of the time.
It's so convincing.
And he was like, yeah, I've been watching you guys since Chia Lincoln. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. Maybe let's keep talking. We can still make this work. Have I screwed this up?
So the people that
I don't like putting on airs.
Okay, I'm not.
I'm not saying you are.
The only thing I've said is that I say, tell me about your content.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's how I start.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's an air.
So
that's a fair question.
But the thing, okay, so I want to talk to you about the people that I met and the way that I learned their story, and then the way that I ended up hyping them up to other people at the Creator Summit. So,
okay,
I don't know. I don't know how to walk up to this guy. I can't remember. Young guy. I think he's actually like 25 or so, but I didn't. I thought, early 20s, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, tell me your story. What do you do? And he's like, well, I used to work at Cold Stone.
Fair.
And I was like, well, I'm not interested in your resume. Like, I didn't ask you what you did before. He's like, no, this is pertinent information. He was like, I worked at Cold Stone, and I put an iPhone like right here under my chin, giving you a POV of what I was doing at Cold Stone. And of course, at Cold Stone, if you haven't been to one, if you're outside of America, maybe you haven't been to one, but this is basically like where you're taking a ball of ice cream and rolling it around and mixing it up with the ingredients on like a piece of marble.
Well, you're underselling it. I mean, they have 2 frozen mallets, and they have it's
pretty awesome.
They artistically mush the ice cream together, and they call them
They
fold.
They fold
the ice cream in with mix-ins.
So he says, I started doing this, and I was just doing these POV videos and posting them to TikTok originally.
Yes.
And they were getting all these views. People just love this content. And I'm like, okay, wow. This is me in my mind. I'm like, wow, okay. He says, then I started, I kind of talked to Cold Stone. Maybe it was going to become something where I'm working for Cold Stone. Am I going to work for Cold Stone as a guy who makes these videos? Long story short is because Cold Stone is a typical corporation with a bunch of, people who don't understand how this stuff works involved, they couldn't figure out a way to work with him in a way that made sense. So what did he do? He went and started his own ice cream shop.
What?
In New York City.
Damn.
And here's what he does. So first of all, his name's Dylan LeMay. You probably, if you know this content, you know this content because the dude's got millions of subscribers and all kinds of views and really the shorts
on YouTube.
So now eventually, and a lot of creators there at the summit were people who had gotten initial traction on TikTok, and then because of the YouTube Shorts program, short vertical videos, 60 seconds or less, they've gotten all this traction on YouTube, and their subscriber counts have gone up really, really fast. So these people have grown faster on the platform in terms of views and subscribers than any previous generation of any wave of YouTube. Way faster, like ridiculously
Tens of
fast.
millions of views on each short, maybe pushing 100 million views on a short.
Yeah, and he's got some huge videos, but he makes multiple videos a day. So he opens up his ice cream shop called Catchin' Ice Cream, and it's basically a gimmick ice cream shop where this is where he makes his content. He's still doing his POV videos, but now he's got these balls of ice cream that have stuff on them or whatever, and he throws you the freaking ice cream and you catch it in a bowl at the place, Catchin' Ice Cream.
What?
And so he's telling me
What
this
if you
story.
don't catch it?
They clean it up and they give you another one. He says, you'd be
What if you don't
surprised.
catch that one?
At that point, it gets uncomfortable, and they begin to say, "Okay, listen, if you don't catch it this time, we're gonna kick you out." I asked him these same two questions.
I never talked to this guy. I never met him.
What happens if they miss it? What happens if they miss it again? And he was like, "It doesn't happen." He
I
says,
love your girlfriend in it.
And then he was like, "And sometimes you just take it and you just put if they can't catch it, you just put it in there." And this is a young kid.
This is cool.
You know, he's
man.
in his 20s.
I love
He's
the
had
spirit.
this crazy success. He's got this ice cream shop in Manhattan. They just literally opened just a couple months ago. So he's just trying to just manage all
He
this.
opened an ice cream shop to create YouTube shorts and TikTok content. That was the means to the
It's
end.
basically taking short form traction through TikTok and YouTube shorts and immediately translating it into a brick and mortar business, which happened at such a scale. I mean, it's such a quick timeline. Anyway, so I'm talking to him.
Did he throw anything in your mouth while you were talking?
I requested him to throw. At that point, for the rest of the time there, I would go and just point at food, and he would throw it in my mouth. That's how I consumed all the food for the rest of the weekend.
Okay, cool.
So I'm talking to. So I'm.
Don't believe it.
A night later, I'm sure you got people you want to talk about too. I'm gonna finish the Dylan story because there's more people I'll come back to. But so I had that conversation with him. The next night, I get into a conversation with somebody who's been on the platform for nearly as long as us, Linus Tech Tips. And so if you care about, tech stuff and you watch YouTube videos, you already know about Linus Tech Tips. Huge channel, huge business.
He's based in
Vancouver, I believe.
Vancouver.
So, and lots of things in common with the way that he's built his business and a large business, a lot of employees. And so we had a long conversation just about what it's like to be a creator who started this channel and all of a sudden you're running this media company. Very cool conversation. Very
Absolutely.
Cool guy.
7 years ago at the first YouTube Summit, we weren't talking to anybody who had 70 employees like I believe he has.
Yeah, something like that.
And now we have 130. It's like this strange phenomenon that we've been able to ride these waves. So like to be able to connect I was in the beginning of that conversation.
Well, and so I'm talking to him. We're getting to know each other as guys who are aware of one another but have never actually met and connected.
Yeah.
Dylan, Ice Cream Man, comes into the conversation, and I was like, I thought if Linus didn't know about him, I was like, hey, tell him. You know this guy? He's like, no. I said, tell him your story, man.
Oh, you're a matchmaker.
And
you're connected.
He was like, well, I make ice cream. I said, no, man, start from the Cold Stone.
Yeah,
I
baby.
said, tell it like you told it to me.
That's right.
And he's telling it, and then I'm literally like
crying,
sitting there like his dad.
Oh,
because I'm like, hey, man, what do you tell me? I'm in the ice cream shop. What do you do? What do you do when somebody drops it? I'm hyping him up, man.
Yeah.
Because he's too humble. He was just being too humble about it. I was like, dude,
you got to be full of yourself to make it on YouTube.
You worked at Cold Stone, and now you own your own ice cream shop in Manhattan because you can freaking film yourself do it. During that same conversation, another guy
crowdformed
enters. Again, if you know, because these guys are so popular. Malad, okay? Very similar story. This guy, his parents own a Subway. He's doing the same thing. He's a sandwich artist, filming himself making sandwiches.
Are they holding the phone between their chin and their collarbone?
No,
do they have like a harmonica
maybe
mount?
They did that in the early days, but since then they have some sort of mount because that would be crazy. And this is what they do. They film themselves doing something, and then they do a voiceover, very calm voiceover,
Mm-hmm.
that often is completely unrelated to the thing that they're making. It's this kind of like break your brain a little bit if you're Gen X, millennial, zennial, what we are.
Okay.
Because this is, again, I'm sounding like an old man, but because to me it's weird, right?
You can't break me.
You're showing me
can't break my
something
soul.
and you're answering a question that's unrelated. And
Yeah.
this is what the kids want, man. Now sometimes it'll be like, what's the craziest sandwich that anyone ever asked for? It was meatballs and tuna, and he's making the meatballs and tuna, and then he turns the camera on himself and he eats it at the end.
Oh, okay, so he does eat it.
So this guy's parents own a Subway. I think they probably still do. He's still doing the sandwich thing, but now he's expanded his content, and he was one of the people that was like, I've been watching you since I was 7 years old. And he is still doing this stuff, and then now he's doing something with Jimmy, with Mr. Beast. He's got he's like eating Mr. Beast burgers on his, but again, it was one of those things that
it's cool, man.
we get so in the weeds necessarily with what we're doing, what we're trying to accomplish, and also with just running a business. It just takes time.
Yeah, it was
And
nice
so-
to pull our heads out of each other's asses.
And then, and then talking to these, for lack of a better word, kids who are making this content with an iPhone strapped onto a thing on their bodies, doing these POV content, and they've been watching us since they were kids, and they're doing this stuff that is so, like, yeah, we're doing food content, but it's two dudes at a desk trying things and making videos that are 15 to 20 minutes long, and we're doing what we do, and we're not going to change what we do to any great degree,
I could
because it's a
probably
different thing.
hold a phone between my chin. I mean, I can try it right now.
But those kinds of stories, well,
Like
the camera's, you'd be filming your
Can you
goozle because
see?
the camera's the wrong way.
Can you see me making an ice cream?
I think I think there are
Can you see me? Can you see me making a sandwich?
I think
is hard,
that
man.
your shaky hands would disqualify you from doing that kind of content. But it was inspiring. It's inspiring to hear, like, oh man, this is only on the internet, only because of the internet, and only because of social media platforms like YouTube can this kind of thing happen where you just, and here's the thing I want to be very clear about.
Be clear.
I don't look at this stuff and get annoyed or angry or
love it.
or have this like, what? This is dumb. He's just making sandwiches. To me, I'm like, he's just making sandwiches. And
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah, it's cool.
And he's getting this kind of traction.
I love it.
because he's doing more than that, and he's got this POV, not just the POV,
It's
the literal
deceptively
POV.
brilliant.
Yeah.
Because it's
They've created a genre of content. They've created a new genre that I go home that night and I'm at a birthday party that I've taken Shepard to, and I'm having dinner with the parents of this kid, and their like 12-year-old daughter is there. And I'm telling them about my experience, and I'm telling them exactly what I've just been telling you. This guy, this ice cream guy. And then the 12-year-old girl, who's completely consumed by her phone, looks up and says, "You met Dylan?" And I was like, yeah. And I was like, and I met Malad. Just, you met Malad. And I go through the people that I met and who are making the short form stuff, and it's like, this is what she's watching.
I love it. If I can't say it enough. I love it. It is inspiring. Meanwhile, I'm at the other end of the party with the group of people that I'm talking to, and I'm like, I'm gonna sext my wife. And they're like, what? I'm like, see that guy over there serving pasta next to a cheese wheel? There was a freaking cheese wheel that was like, he was scraping, using a hot spoon and scraping cheese out of this cheese wheel and putting it on pasta. And I'm like, here, take my phone, take a picture of me behind this cheese wheel, and like, Christy loves cheese. So
She loves you.
So take my picture. So I texted Christy and I said, can I sext you? Now, you know what? I'm sorry to say I've never sexted my wife. That's just not something we've ever tried, you know? I'm sure you have. Hey, I'm Rhett. I've been sitting on this egg for a while. It's time to hatch it. Oh, I sext my wife all the time. This isn't about you right now.
Well, you just made it about me. I haven't sexted my wife. I've done other things with the phone.
Okay, great.
And I don't mean I put it in things. I'm not saying
You put it below your chin, and
I'm
you
trying
just
to-
get. That's not a good angle
I'm
for
trying to
it.
create a new genre
Top down.
of video.
That's just well, okay. So anyway, she doesn't reply, and I'm like, well, take the picture, and then so I get back in front, behind. I asked the guy, I was like, do you mind if I take your spoon and stand next to the cheese wheel? And the first picture I took was like more of like a.
Hold on, you took the chef's spoon?
He was for it.
Well.
Turns out they were taking pictures of me talking to the guy. So you can see that I'm getting consent in the pictures that I'm now showing. And then he moved, I was like, I had to explain to him, I don't want you in the picture. Cause he turned and started smiling at the camera. And I was like, I'm trying to sext my wife. I don't want you in the photo. Can you just stand over here? And then I just stood in front of the cheese wheel. And at first I was like, oh, like I was just like, I don't know, splooging on the cheese wheel. I don't know. I just kind of I was at a party.
Yeah, you are.
And then after that, all of my friends got in the picture, and we're taking pictures.
All your friends?
All my friends at the party that I was making.
You just all the people that you just met.
Yeah. We were having a good time, and they were loving it. They were like, "This is so crazy! I'm taking pictures that Link's gonna send to his wife." And then Christy never got back to me.
Yeah, right.
That night, and then
Was she asleep?
she was asleep.
Okay.
And then so then I didn't send the picture because I was waiting for her to say yes. I would like for you to sext me or whatever she was gonna say. And then when I woke up the next morning, she had said something, I think, but it wasn't. I can't remember. It wasn't related. So then I was like, oh no, this is what happened. I went back. When I got back to my hotel room and I'm like sitting there about to go to bed, and like Christy had texted me by that point, and I hadn't seen her response. So then and then I knew that she was like, I'm going to bed. So I knew by the time I got to my room, she was asleep, so that when she got my sext, it would be in the morning. So I was like, I don't want to send the one where my eyes are rolled back in my head. I'm gonna send one that just kind of looks like I'm a normal guy in front of a cheese wheel. It's more of a morning cheese sext.
I thought you guys like to have morning sex, though.
Yeah, I just didn't feel like that's the type of thing she wanted to wake up to. So I sent her the other one,
Okay.
and like the good thing is she knew that like even though I was in party mode and making friends, that I was thinking about her.
Yep.
And then the next morning, everybody was asking like, what did she say? What did she do? And I told them what I told you, and it was kind of like an anticlimactic story.
She didn't respond.
Yeah, she thought it was.
I think
She thought it was.
asleep.
She said very sexy.
Oh, she did eventually.
So
say that.
she's playing along.
Okay.
Very sexy is what she said.
I did see that cheese wheel, and I because what the guy was doing, which again
I didn't eat any of it though.
Yeah, well, this is
Did
the,
you eat
the
some of it?
difference between me and you. I saw a guy putting risotto into a cheese wheel of Parmesan, mixing it into the Parmesan, and then putting like truffles on top of it. And I didn't think about my wife. I thought about the risotto, and I wanted to eat it, and so I did.
Oh, okay.
I did think about my wife later, but in that moment, the cheese wheel definitely took up 99.9% of my brain space.
That's fair.
And it was very good. Of course, I did take the plate of risotto around, and people were like, "What are you eating?" Because it just looked like slop on just risotto on a plate.
The only
at a
thing I
party.
ate was like they had like little bites of chicken parm.
Had several.
And yeah, and I took one, it would be one bowl with a little fancy schmancy little square of chicken parm. And then, so I took that one, and then I took more, because I realized, past tense, that like, I hadn't been eating, but I had been drinking. So you can kind of start to connect the dots.
So
And I'm like, I need to eat. So then I started taking
So that's how you realize that you need to eat. I need to eat versus I'm hungry and I don't want to eat.
It's like, I don't want to be belligerent. I need to eat. So then I had to like recreate a full chicken parm on one plate with like 7.
Well,
It was tough.
there was multiple foods There was a.
It was. I didn't want.
I'll
the
tell
other
you all
ones.
about the food.
I didn't want any of the other foods
because I went around. This is what I do when I get to a party.
I go to the bathroom, and you've already eaten everything once.
No, I go around and I eat every single thing because the foods they change, they get cold. I want to know what I like. I want to know what I want to go back for. So I got the chicken parm. They had an eggplant parm on the other side. In between, they had a cup of charcuterie that was like rolled up stuff in like cheese and salami and bread that was like artisanally put in this cup. I got that twice.
I didn't even see that.
And then they had the risotto. What else did they have? And then they had some dessert later on, which I also ate. But lesson learned, don't get a drink and eat at the same time because then you're holding a drink and you've got a plate of food.
Yeah.
So you either drink first or eat first, but don't do them at the same time.
Right.
And I had to learn that. That was my like COVID leftover, like forgetting how to go to a party. Because I was sitting there talking to people and I had a drink and then I was looking for a table and then next thing you know, so I put my drink down on the table so I can eat and a waiter comes and takes it and I was like, I've completely
one at a time.
Complete party foul.
But I think you're learning. I mean, if you're going to a party with us, just stick with Rhett. Like he's like, hey, stand over here. Like when we went to the Rings of Power premiere, I took Lily, you took Shepard, so the four of us are hanging around and like Rhett comes up to me at like when they start bringing food out and he's like, no, we had split up a little bit.
Yep.
Lily and I met some other people and then all of a sudden Rhett comes up to me and he's like, I figured out the best place to stand to get the food. They come out of this door right here.
No, this isn't something I figure this out at every party.
Yeah, what door do the people come out of with the food?
There's
so come over here. I was like, thanks.
So at every party, there is a kitchen, right? There is a room or a kitchen in which the food is being prepped and delivered from, and that's the source. And you set up, and you don't want to like stand outside the kitchen.
Yeah, it seems like you were stalking.
No, you want to be the first point that counts as being at the party.
Yeah.
But is it the first person that they run into when they come out? And here's what happens. So the people who serve at these parties, if you go to a premiere or you go to any of these parties where there's people walking around with plates of food.
The tray people. Would you like a hummus?
Here's the thing about.
Would you like a so raw thing?
Now, see, you're already making fun of these people, but these people who have the trays, they're working class people, right?
Come on, don't make me the bad guy.
No. Here's what I'm saying. The only normal people at these parties, and I'm talking about typical like premieres and Hollywood parties, are the people serving the food. Everyone else is a full of themselves celebrity like me and you.
True.
Okay? And so, but here's what you learn really quickly is that the people serving the food, who are just people trying to make it, they might be an actor, struggling artist, but they're at this party.
I can't believe you're making it about this.
And no, seriously though, what they want to do is they don't like walking around with this food and having these people who are so full of themselves turn their noses up at the food.
Belligerent people.
These people, especially in LA, they turn their noses up at food. What Jessie and I, because Jessie's just like me, she wants to eat just like me.
Yeah, that doesn't fit my diet.
She and I have figured out that you make friends with the tray people. And then they're like, every time I go to this couple, they say yes to whatever I bring them.
And the big man drains it.
And so
it's like they get their quote.
You become
a
magnet
their quota
for the food people.
Yeah.
And you can have like normal conversations with them too, because they're not putting on airs. They're not there to impress. They're there to work. And I just find that you
come get me when you bring in a slider out, homie.
I was at we went to one premiere, and on the way out, one of the tray guys came up and he was like, "Hey, I'm wearing Josh Scherer's pants." That's Mythical Chef Josh.
Yeah.
I was like, "What?" He's like, "I'm Josh's brother-in-law." And I
have to be a tray person, and I needed pants.
He had just moved in. I think just moved into town or whatever, and he was like, "I had to do this last minute, and I needed pants, and I'm wearing Josh's pants." But I thought those are the people that you want to talk to at a party, the people with the food.
I thought you were going to say when we were leaving the Rings of Power premiere, and if you've watched Rings of Power, like in the first 2 episodes, there's this guy who he comes down in a comet, okay, and he lands and like this precursor to a hobbit, or basically a migratory hobbit, finds this naked dude.
Have you figured out who he is? I haven't watched past the
Well,
first
by
two
the time this
episodes.
comes out, I think people will know. But that's not really what this is about. At this point in the story, you don't know who this mysterious guy.
I think it's Gandalf.
It's not. You fell from the sky. He fell from the sky, and he makes fire around him, but he doesn't. Nothing's hot to the touch, and he has amnesia,
And he's big.
but he's got a lot of hair, and he's a skinny
And a big
white
beard.
guy with a big beard. And as you were leaving the premiere, when we had just watched these first 2 episodes, and everybody's like, "Who is this guy?" And it's like, it's not Gandalf. Shut up about that. A woman comes up to you and says, what?
She said, "Did you played the wizard in the show?" And I was like, "Thank you, yes." She's like, "You did great." I was like, "I appreciate that."
It's like he didn't have any lines.
Yeah.
He
People have tweeted at me saying
he just laid down in the fetal position and like
people
a
think
comic.
it's me. Like people on the internet think it's me.
It's just a guy with long hair and a beard.
I don't know. There's not many of us. There's not many.
Yeah,
of
there's
us.
not many of you.
It might be Rhett.
It's gotta be Rhett.
I just didn't want to get into the conversation of like, here's what I thought. My brain was working really quickly as I was leaving.
You were leaving.
And I
first
said
of
to
all.
myself, I don't want to have this conversation. But also, if I say yes to this, she gets to go home saying, I met that guy.
I met that guy.
And so I just thought I would
Still
give
don't
her
know
an
who he
experience.
is.
Yeah.
What character he plays. The Stranger is what he's been called.
2 other guys I met, which again, I'm back to the YouTube Summit. This is capturing the specificity, man. Another guy comes up. Again, this guy had watched our content since he was a kid. And I was like, "What do you do?" And he says, "I make dental content. Dental Digest."
What?
And then he shows me his channel, and I'm like, "Oh boy, like 10 million subscribers,
Millions
of views."
He showed you his channel on his phone.
Yeah,
This is like his version of a business card.
I asked him. What his channel was.
Is he working on people's mouths? Is it tooth extraction? Like I'm not into that.
No, he is eating candy. Okay. First of all, he's in dental school. He's gonna be a dentist, y'all.
Okay.
He eats candy, and then he brushes his teeth.
Yes. He brushes his
And
teeth.
so he's like, these Mexican candies versus my teeth versus these. It's basically like eat a bunch of candies from a particular place or whatever, and do they cause cavities? And the way that he finds this out, again, this is a dental student. He brushes his teeth and then he checks the pH of his teeth, of his mouth, because the pH of your mouth one of the reasons that you get cavities apparently is the pH changes that take place when there's all these sugar bugs, or not sugar bugs, but sugar in your mouth.
Sugar bugs.
Well-
Are those his words or yours?
I think he does use the word sugar bugs because I think bacteria feed on sugar when it's in your mouth, and so it does promote the growth of unhealthy bacteria, which then contributes. I don't know how teeth work. I didn't go to dental school, and I haven't watched much Dental Digest other than what I was shown in the moment. But
But he brushes his teeth.
then he brushes his teeth. So I talked to this guy for quite some time. He had a lot of questions about growing a business, and I was.
And you had a lot of questions about brushing your teeth.
I did. I was like, "Tell me about those Mexican candies again." So then, literally 30 minutes later, I start talking to another guy, and I'm like, "What do you do?" And he's like, "I make dental content." And I was like, "Whoa,
Like,
whoa!
we've already spoken.
There's not many people here, bro." I just talked to another guy. He said, "Oh yeah, I know. I'm Dental Digest, yes." And this is a guy who's a little bit older, who is an orthodontist. Again,
That's a different thing.
I know, but he is making
They should team up.
he's doing multiple things. So this is
Like the dental Power Rangers.
he's the dentist. Like, I guess his name's Ben, the dentist. And so he's got his content that's doing great on shorts as well. And he's got a whole different thing where he's like answering questions. He does a lot of different things based on like quickly looking at his channel. But in a group of, I don't know, 100 of these YouTubers that have been invited to this event because things are really, really working on the platform for them. 2% of them are dental guys. And this content is just so popular.
It's crazy, man.
Like everybody's got teeth. I mean, most people.
Wow. And then meanwhile, I'm on the other side of the party, like having my cheese wheel sext fun.
Yeah.
And I look over there at one of the people I'm just talking to. I talked to the guy who turned out to be an NFL long snapper. And then his wife comes over, and I was like, I'll be damned if that's not an Olympian. Like I know who that is. I know who that is, but I don't want to have to ask her who she is because I've seen her on a box of Wheaties.
But her name is on her tag, and it's Sean Johnson.
And I looked at her tag, and it said Sean Johnson.
Well, actually, it said Sean.
She's my new best friend, Jenna. Are you freaking out?
I'm freaking out.
You want to text her?
Yes.
Yeah, we can do that right now.
I did not say sext her, by the way. I'm not.
So it's Sean East because she married Andrew East. And here's the thing.
I love both of them.
I am obsessed.
Hey guys, love you.
Here's the thing about.
We have some fun.
I'm a big fan of both of them. Andrew, in particular,
They do family vlogging now.
Because he is a long snapper, and I am recently obsessed with long snapping because I listened to this episode on some podcast where they were talking about long snappers. And again, if you're not familiar with football, this is the guy.
Don't say it with that tone.
This is the guy who bends over and throws the ball between his legs to like a punter or somebody who's kicking about to hold the ball to kick the ball.
And
so
is he a short ways away?
He's a long ways away.
He's a long ways away.
And it's this position that was marginalized for many, many years because it would be like long snappers. Over the years, as the specialization of different positions has developed in the NFL,
it's kind of like a mirror of YouTube.
The importance of the long snapper is so important. In fact, the joke is if you hear a long snapper's name during the game, that means they screwed up because no one's gonna be like, the long snapper did a great job tonight. You only find, if that's your job, if you screw it up, that's when people find out. And the long snapper for the Carolina Panthers is J.J. Jansen, who's he hasn't missed a game in like 12 years. I think he holds the current record of any active player or something. But I was just fascinated with this position, and I found out Andrew was a long snapper for 10 years.
I knew you were going to be enamored with him once I passed him off to you. But he came back to me the next morning and asked me if I was always like this.
Right. And he didn't ask me any questions like that. But I asked him a lot of questions about long snapping. And it was fascinating to get.
Do
they
get hit hard? Because the reason why you're snapping it so long is so that the punter has more time to punt it.
You have to block. So,
and then you block. You're getting damaged.
Well, first of all,
he had a pretty face.
You have to be. Well, he's wearing a helmet. You have to be.
Good for him.
If you're at any position on the football field, you're going to be in shape and you're going to be relatively big, I guess, unless you're like the kicker.
Play for the Redskins.
So
are they still called the Redskins?
Nope.
Well, when he played, they were called the Redskins.
Yeah, I think it's called the Washington Football Team now, and I don't know if they've got a new name. He played for multiple teams.
They don't have a mascot at all. They were like, screw it. We've totally messed this up.
They're coming up with a new one.
We're not even going to mascot territory.
But you as soon as you snap it, you have to turn it. You have to block somebody, but you're blocking somebody who's really close to you, and then you're probably just wrapped up with them for most of the play.
So what did you talked to him about this?
No, I just said, hey, no joke. I'm not just saying this because you're a long snapper, but I'm kind of obsessed with long snapping. Ever since I heard about the specialization of this position and how they're now recruiting kids in middle school to become long snappers, and there's a couple of long snapping coaches. He was like, yeah, so-and-so and so-and-so. Of course, he knew who these people were. And he's also a long snapping coach.
Oh, isn't this the thing that once, like in the past year or two, they changed college regulations to where
you can sponsor people.
And your idea was for us to have a mythical long snapper.
Yeah. Well, originally, my initial idea before I became obsessed with long snappers was to just sponsor like a weird position and then I find out about long snappers. And I'm like, that's it.
Let's do it.
And I don't necessarily know if we need to sponsor one. What if we sponsored
all of them?
A bunch of long snappers.
Yeah, let's really
like this, like the Long Snapper Fund.
Right. So Andrew, we're going to be talking to you about.
I talked to him about it. I told him the idea. I said we've been talking about it. There could be some.
Oh, you told him about that?
Yeah. I said like I feel like there's content here. You know, follow a long snapper through the season because it's such a specific position. So listen, don't do that show before we do. If you see a long snapper show, know that somebody stole our idea.
I don't think it can be done without us. I mean, we're obviously very instrumental in whatever long snapper content makes its way on the internet.
Oh,
no, but I do want to do it.
I think we will be instrumental.
Well, the thing that I talked to him about was he told me this story that he was in when he was in I think he was in a fraternity or he went to a party with some of his teammates and he did not drink. So he said, instead of drinking, I'm gonna do the gallon challenge. So
milk.
Every time you drink alcohol, I'm gonna drink milk until I've drunk a whole gallon of milk because, you know, they say you can't do that.
Right.
And I'm not condoning for anyone to do that because I don't know what it does to your body, but apparently at a certain point.
Milk does a body good.
I remember Jason Batson, I told him this, I was like, when we were in middle school, one day he got everybody's milk cartons and like a gallon equivalent of milk cartons, and over that lunch period, like people just started hearing the murmurs of like, Jason Batson he's gonna drink a gallon of milk today.
He wasn't drinking a gallon of milk because we didn't really understand the gallon challenge at that point. It was just Jason Batson's gonna drink all the milk. it was much less calculated.
Much like the gallon challenge, he just upchucked everywhere. He was embarrassed.
Listen, I don't even think he got into double digits.
Oh my gosh, it was bad.
With you. It ended quick for him.
So he told me that he went to this party. He went to this frat party after he had been like participating in his challenge. And right when he got to the party, he had to run to the bathroom, and he said that like it was one of those things, it's like, you know, you're getting to the door and it's just like you just can't hold it anymore, and just like as he flung the door open, he just like vomited everywhere in this house. He's like, you wonder how it just gets everywhere, like how somebody just totally destroys a bathroom. It's like, well, I know because I was that guy. And I was like, and then how long did you spend in there just trying to clean it up? He was like, no time at all.
Yeah, you got to leave. You got to get out of there.
So then I told him my story of like when we were in Park City and we met our high school friend Eric, and I'm really developing a reputation here. I don't really drink that much, but when I do, I really have a story to tell.
I don't really drink that much, but when I drink that much.
I was just felt really sick the next day, and we sat at this coffee shop, and I was embarrassed to tell him that I was hungover, and like the sun was just baking in. And at least my recollection now is that he ordered some food. I think it was an egg, but I don't know what it was.
And it was a raw egg. It was like a sunny side up egg.
It made me sick to look at it, and I ran to the bathroom, and the same thing happened to me. I was like, dude, I know how you feel. And then I just hurled on every vertical surface in that bathroom. But then I just spent the next 15 to 20 minutes just like pulling paper towels out and just like mopping everything down. And then I come back out finally, and you're like, what happened? I was like, no, there was a line. I don't remember what I said, but I felt horrible.
The toilet
I've actually felt better.
Going very slow.
That's what I talked to him about. So no real long snapping.
You didn't.
And no, I asked him at one point if he was ever in the Olympics. He said no, and I just gave him a hard time.
I don't know if
He was like, I played in the NFL. I was like, yeah, but you weren't on a Wheaties box.
I don't know if I've ever met a gold medalist before.
She was also on a Cheerios box. And I was like, that's the ticket, girl.
And also let me say that Andrew and Sean were on our team. We divided up into teams, and our team, first of all,
a scavenger
hunt. It was a scavenger hunt, and that involved some athletic stuff. And I looked at our team, and I was like, we have a former NFL player and an Olympian on our team. If we don't win,
it's a problem.
It's a problem, and we did. We won.
It's a problem.
Team Yellow won the whole thing.
But just the aspect of, between all the goofing off, it, like you're saying, it was nice to have conversations with people where they valued our experience and we were fascinated with theirs and how there's so much overlap in where they're going and what they're trying to build and what we've already built in a lot of ways, and just how we can kind of pay it forward and help them out. But also there's so much for us to learn at the same time, because like the emphasis on shorts is a totally new thing for YouTube, like grappling with the TikTok of it all. And everyone there has this spirit of taking these tools and what the algorithms, how they behave, being a student of finding the intersection between technology and self-expression to reach an audience and connect with them. And I just found that very invigorating, and it was cool to be seen as people who were OGs, still relevant and valuable to their experience. I mean, Stevie was invited to be a speaker, one of the speakers there, talking about, there were like 4 breakout sessions that everybody could go to, and they happened twice. So they ended up being like small groups. So she came to Palm Springs to talk about building a team, which a lot of YouTubers are interested in doing. And it's a hard thing to figure out.
We weren't allowed to see her though.
We weren't, I did see her.
How did you see her?
I walked up to her before her thing, and she immediately started laughing because I was wearing my glasses and my shorts and my Palm Springs shirt, and she was like, "You really look Palm Springs right now." I was like, "Well, I'm having a ball." And she was like, "Well, you got to get out of here." But I was, I'm proud of what we have at Mythical, that it's not just about the two of us, it's about our team, and like Stevie representing and being there, and like lots of people, like even people who've been around the block many times, like Marquez saying he got a lot out of her session. It's really cool. And then they had this thing called a magic mirror where you could go up to it, like a mirror, mirror on the wall. You ask them something about YouTube and then you get a response. And I don't know exactly how it worked, but we were supposed to go in and answer people's questions, but we interacted with the mirror. There was a guy, I don't know if you knew this, Rhett, but there was a guy behind the mirror. He was speaking through a speaker, so it looked like the mirror was talking.
I know which guy it was too.
And then when we came out, after interacting with this guy, like the YouTube person was like, "How did it go?" And I was like, honestly, he was kind of an asshole. And then you said, well, Link, he's a mirror. He's just reflecting back what he gets from you. And I was like, oh, okay. That's pretty fair. So, but he was a fan. So like we were giving each other, he knew who we were. I was giving him a hard time. He's a freaking mirror. He was playing a character.
Well, one of the things too.
I didn't hurt his feelings, I don't think.
No. One of the things that I'll say is obviously, okay, YouTube, not perfect, right? YouTube is a corporation. Obviously, their goal as part of Google is to grow, make money, right? But we have, over the course of our career, gotten to know the people who work at YouTube. And when it comes to places where you can make videos, right? If you're just a creator and you say, okay, well, I can make videos on TikTok, I can do things on Instagram, I can do things on Facebook, I can do things on whatever the platform is.
And we do things everywhere.
We put content everywhere, but there's one platform in which you actually have a connection with the people who are making these decisions and feel like, oh, if I have a complaint or if I have this idea, or obviously we're privileged in that we've been on the platform for a really long time and we have a lot of subscribers and we have a big, so that and not everybody has
no,
that.
It's true of a certain level of creator.
But what ultimately I'm saying is that they're not doing a perfect job by any means, but they're doing a much better job. There isn't a close second. There's no other platform that is actually catering to and listening to the creators and understanding that the people who make the content on their platform are the heart and soul of the platform. And people get mad at YouTube because people get mad at everybody about everything. That's just kind of the way the world works now. And so if you can get mad at somebody about something, you're gonna find a way to do it. And you're gonna go on Twitter and you're gonna say something. But I'm just gonna say firsthand, there's no summit for any other platform. There's no place where you actually know multiple people who work for this corporation and you know them and you consider them oh, hey, so-and-so, I've seen you multiple times at multiple events. I kind of consider you a friend. Like, they are doing a good job of connecting with and listening to the people who are the heart and soul of their platform. And I gotta hand it to them. I mean, that's why if we can make it to events like that, we're going to. A lot of times we can't because of our schedule. But I think it's because you get this sense that, first of all, I'm gonna get to meet other people who I can relate to, who do what we do. We're gonna learn things. We're gonna make important connections. But we're also gonna think, well, okay, well, what's coming down the line now? Like, what is important to YouTube right now, and how does that make us better creators on this platform? And how do we do a better job of connecting with our fans and continuing to run a healthy business? There's not many opportunities like that outside that.
Yeah, and it rejuvenated, it rejuvenated my energy to continue to pay it forward to other creators. And with our Mythical Creator Accelerator, where we're literally investing money into other creators' businesses to help them accelerate building their own brand, not in the same way that we did, but in a similar, in their own to build their own version of what we've built with Mythical, is an exciting aspect of what we're literally investing in. And so it's rewarding to have those conversations with other creators and know that that it can be a mutually beneficial relationship, and there's a lot more potential there. My one feedback for YouTube, though, at a certain time it got a little corporate when they were like, we're all eating lunch, and they're like, you got to get to the next session, the next programming session, but everybody said the content is about to start. And then you start walking, and somebody else would say, the content is this way. It felt weird. It's like, You don't use the word content so much. It's like it's a session.
The stuff is this way.
I mean, the session, the program is about to begin.
The thing you're looking for is this way.
The content is about to start. It's like, hey, that word, you're stretching it too thin. YouTube.
Okay.
Work on it.
Good feedback.
You're getting a little too. What's it called? Bubbleized here.
One thing that I will say, there's always a little bit of swag at these events, and there's usually a piece of clothing. Mm-hmm. And I think this year, I got my favorite one ever. I brought it.
Oh, really? Dr. Emily was not there. She did not bring swag. Oh, he's off. He's trying to get off camera. He's gonna make a reveal. There it is.
Hello, I'm very comfortable in my robe. Oh, what's that you say? What's my YouTube channel?
Good Mythical morning.
Can you read that?
Jenna, you're exactly right. She said, you look like you're wearing a circus tent.
I love this.
It's a terry cloth robe that put a pole in the middle of it, man.
So are you telling me that
you could have said, there already is one.
Well, here's the thing. Literally a week before the Creator Summit, I was on Amazon. I go on Amazon sometimes and other websites. I'm not just exclusive to Amazon. I like that Prime shipping, though.
Jeffrey Bezos.
Looking for robes.
I got a robe.
I know, but I don't.
That one.
And now I got this one. And here's the thing about this robe is that it's not technically reversible, but it might as well be.
Yeah, it's like you're wearing a different color circus tent.
No, I only do this between December 18th, my wife's birthday, and January 1st. I'm gonna wear this every day.
Yeah, you're candy cane.
Yeah, I'm a candy cane man.
Don't encourage him.
I mean, look at that. I'm the most relaxed Santa there's ever been. I'm like.
We had fun, didn't we, Rhett?
Oh, and we got massages. We didn't give each other massages. You did make that joke when we showed up at the massage parlor. I was just saying parlor, the spa at the same time.
Yeah,
but that was nice.
Thanks
that was nice.
Yep. Glad you added that.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying I saw myself in this
podcast
robe.
Is over. Don't start talking about massages.
Oh no, I'm just saying that it was I hadn't had one of those in years.
We got to close this thing down. Yep. So we had fun. It's my rec. Rec,
yeah.
Baby rec, baby 1, 2, 3, 4. if you're into hip hop like I am, then you already know about this. I don't need to tell you, but I just want to validate what you already know to be true is the new JID album, The Forever Story, is really good. So if you haven't listened to the album, you should. And if you have, you should watch his Tiny Desk concert, that NPR series. It's nice. It's nice. It's nice. He's
three nices from Link Neal.
All right. What are we doing next week? Do we know?
We do know. We wrote it down, but I don't know at this moment what it is. Oh, we're going to be talking about what scares us the most.
What scares us the most?
And that's the month where you got to be real scared of things.
We're going to take your call-ins. We're prepping them up. What? Oh, that's the week after. So maybe you can still call in. So what scares us most is next week.
Yeah, not what scares you the most.
And then what?
And then after that, it's
things that have scared you the most.
It's going to be like
is the following week.
Things that you.
Is that too redundant?
No, because it's people talking about like paranormal, spooky, supernatural, crazy that's happened to you.
We shouldn't have these programmatic conversations within the podcast. But I was just trying to make it a legitimate teaser.
Yeah. What is it? What is our number?
188 EarPod1.
And don't forget to talk about Ear Biscuits on the internet with hashtag Ear Biscuits because we will find you.
And you know what? Have a baby. I don't give a
Hello, Rhett and Link. I was just listening to your latest Ear Biscuits release, and I really want to thank you two for talking about local elections. You started to talk about, the possibility of being a mayor of a town. I have served on my small town city council, and I am currently running to be in my state's legislature in the Georgia State House of Representatives. You are very correct in saying that these hyper-local elections are incredibly important. If you really want to start affecting change literally right outside your own front door, it's not about being president of the United States. It's about being on those groups of people that help make decisions about how your city is developed and planned and run. You are very correct about if you're doing it right, it is an act of service. That's why I like to describe myself as a public servant rather than a politician. I'm a public servant first and a politician second. So I will see you guys at Mythicon. Thanks for all you do.
Good mythical greetings to you. My name is Matt out of Alabama, and I just thought you guys should know that I have a recurring dream where I travel to your studio on a sweepstakes of some kind, and I desperately try to convince one of you or Stevie to give me a job in HR for some reason. To be clear, I love my job, and I don't think I would take another offer, but that's a dream I have, and I apologize. I don't know.
Hey, Rhett and Link. This is Paige from Detroit, Michigan, and I just wanted to let you guys know that my dog with anxiety loves to listen to you guys. I mean, I love to listen to you guys too, but she loves to listen to you guys while I'm gone. It helps her so much. She just sits on the couch and curls up and listens to you guys while I'm gone. So just to let everybody know that your podcasts are for dogs too. Okay? Thank you very much. We love you. Bye.
To watch more Ear Biscuits, click on the playlist on the right.
To watch the previous episode of Ear Biscuits, click on the playlist to the left.
And don't forget to click on the circular icon to subscribe.
If you prefer to listen to this podcast, it's available on all your favorite podcast platforms. Thanks for being your mythical best.